Okay, so I'm Mark Brewer from TrustRadius, and we're just talking to people who have used TrustRadius to buy software or learn, so we can learn more about the ups and downs of that buying experience and how you use our platform. So we're just looking for honest feedback of your usage of TrustRadius and the software purchasing process in general. So to kick this off, can you briefly describe your role in your company?
Sure. So I am a web developer and web designer specifically for the marketing team at my company. So it's my job to manage the design and development only for the website itself. I don't work on client stuff. So outside of like the specific roles of design and development, I'll oftentimes be charged with figuring out more technical solutions to certain problems, and that also involves potentially figuring out software solutions to certain problems we're having, which means that I'm the one going out and trying to find those products.
Awesome. And then how long have you been using TrustRadius to make purchase decisions?
Oh my gosh. You guys have been around for a while. I mean, it must be maybe 5 years.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah, not a problem.
And then what is the typical size of a buying committee when you are doing a software purchase?
It will depend. I would say it's typically 3 to 4 people. I don't know if you need specifics. Usually it would be like in my case, VP of marketing. Sometimes we might pull in like one or two other people if we figure that they will also be using the software. And then oftentimes I'll go directly to my CEO in some cases, so he might be involved if it is a bigger purchase, and we find that it may have some greater effect on budget.
And do you bring content or reviews or anything from TrustRadius to that committee, or do they interface with the site at all, or what's the level of involvement with TrustRadius in that committee itself?
So typically, I would say I'm the one who would vet through TrustRadius. I haven't personally run into a scenario where I've taken what I've found from TrustRadius and then like maybe shared my screen and showed it. But if anything, I might have like taken notes based on what I've seen on TrustRadius and brought that to meetings that I've shared. But I haven't necessarily shared pages for people to like look at.
Okay, perfect. And then how do you typically use TrustRadius in that process? Do you use it to find new software, or do you have a short list already and you're just comparing options, or what does that use case look like for you?
So typically, if I find a piece of software, oftentimes I find like I'm in a situation where maybe I found a piece of software that can do something, but I'm looking for competitors. Oftentimes I'll go to TrustRadius to see if I can find other competitors that are similar pieces of software that I can look at. Um, and then I'll compare and contrast. Otherwise, I'll typically use TrustRadius to just look for very detailed reviews on um, products as opposed to like superficial, so I can get more into the nitty gritty as to whether or not they solve specific business problems, or certain, I guess, technical problems if I need to go more specific.
Okay. And so you mentioned a couple of the features you use. What else is important to you in making that buying decision? Do you look at product scores? Are you really here for the reviews and looking for depth of quality, or what are the features and things you really look for to help in making that decision?
I'll typically look at, so reviews definitely. I'll look at what do you call it, like the general like features list, like what are the like the check marks of the things that they necessarily have or what they have. I'd say I tend to go more into definitely more into the reviews though. I like to see like kind of like the really big details of like, what were the pros of this, what were the cons of this, what business solution does this solve, um, and I can't remember like what if there's ROI if I need to necessarily care about that. I would say it's probably more in the reviews, and then I do like to, I'm like blanking on what they all are right now, but like I do like to look at like the overall overview of like features or things like that the software might have. Um, yeah, I guess that would be everything.
Okay, perfect. And then how much do the scores of either the product itself or within the reviews matter to you, or are you more concerned with quality content as you've described?
I guess for the scores, if I see something that is trending towards the lower side, I guess if anything that, what would I say? It kind of like causes a sense of like, oh, like why, what would be the reason for somebody to score the software like that? And I'd oftentimes like want to look into that a little bit more. So if anything, I would probably use those reviews as like maybe baselines for like what reasons the software might not be a good idea. And if those people are having problems that I think I might run into based upon like what I need to do with it.
Okay. Could you describe a time when information from TrustRadius directly influenced a purchase decision?
Let's see, something recent. I would say one of the things I needed to do somewhat recently was I needed to find, what would you call it, like a built-in, um, like a search tool basically for like something that could be implemented into the website that could be used to kind of index our pages and create like a search solution like for our pages and whatnot. So I kind of was running into an issue where I really wasn't able to find many products that could do that. So I remember going onto TrustRadius and trying to look up basically a slew of like keywords that would hopefully bring up different types of software that would be able to succeed in that, whether it was like search engine software or other search indexing platforms, things like that. I basically use that as a way to kind of like accumulate like a list of different products that might be able to solve for that. And then I remember going through at least the websites and a bit of TrustRadius like one by one to try to figure out like, are these what I want? Like, what are the pros and cons? Like, I remember looking at one that was just better for enterprise stuff, and TrustRadius helped me figure out that that was going to be one that maybe wasn't going to fit us because we're not an enterprise company. And it helped me figure out ones that were maybe better for SMBs or businesses like of that size, and that maybe that would be a better fit. Oh, you're muted, Mark.
Sorry.
Sorry.
And then how influential would you say TrustRadius is in a decision like that?
Are you looking for like a scale on 1 to 10 type of thing, or
Yeah,
more
however
like
you view that. I guess another way to ask it is if you didn't have that content, how confident would you feel in that decision, and what role does TrustRadius play in making that be a confident decision?
I guess I would say it does a couple of things. I guess one, it helps me speed up my decision, um, as opposed, because I might be struggling to find what I'm looking for in TrustRadius, which just helps make that easier. And two, I guess in terms of how confident I feel and maybe what I'm seeing on the website, I typically feel like I can pretty confidently. I don't know. I don't think the reviews are necessarily false. The only ones that I might like tend to stray away from are ones that are very short. If it's just like, I love the software, it was great, it helped us, like that doesn't really give me much quantitative like information. But if it's somebody who happens to be more detailed, then obviously I'm gonna look to those reviews more. So I mean, if I had to scale it, I guess I could say, I mean, probably a 9 out of 10. I guess I try to figure out what would make that go higher, but I would say a 9 out of 10.
Okay. And then have you used other platforms like TrustRadius or other review sites? And if so, how would you say TrustRadius compares to those?
Um, in the past, I've used G2. I know there's what's the other one is Captera. I feel like I haven't really used them in a while. I feel like I don't know if they fell off or I just haven't seen them around. But G2 I've used in the past. I feel like I tend to come back to TrustRadius though specifically because I like the UI of it. Um, and I don't know and how everything is laid out. And I think it's just been I don't know it's one of the ones that's more top of mind for me as opposed to G2. Um, Aside from those three, though, or you and the other two, I can't think of any other ones.
Okay. And then aside from review sites, what other sources do you use in making a purchase decision? What else helps inform that process?
Obviously, definitely the website itself. Like I go to the website and try to review up on anything they have on like how to use the tool, what it's about, is gonna fulfill what I need. In terms of other things I'm looking that I try to look at, I'll sometimes maybe try to look at blog articles, if there are review blog or blog articles that accumulate like top 10 or 10 or 10, 20, whatever, best, whatever it is. And that can sometimes help. In terms of anything else, if I can find, what would it be? Although I feel like I don't use this as often, customer stories or customer, yeah, I guess customer stories on like how something was used, which I guess you would typically find that on the website itself. Those also can help because I'm able to see a real world application of the tool or product.
Got it. And on TrustRadius, we have a lot of different features, of course, but we do also give out awards to different products. We have our top rated awards. We have best of based on different features. Is that something that matters to you, or you lend any credence to in making that decision, or no?
I don't know if it's been terribly, I guess important to me. I mean, I guess maybe I've seen them and I've been like, oh, you know what, that's good to see, but I don't know if it's greatly, I would say greatly like affected whether or not I guess I do or don't use a tool. I guess as someone who's more technical, I get stuck in the weeds of like, can it technically do what I need it to do, as opposed to does it have the best, does it have a certain award or something like that? But I guess if anything, that can be helpful in certain cases, but I guess I don't pay as much attention to it.
Yeah, it sounds like from what you've said so far, really you're looking for depth of content, quality of content from people like you in similar types of organizations or solving similar problems, if I'm hearing you correctly.
Yes, that would be correct.
Okay, perfect. Is there anything about TrustRadius you feel could be improved, or features that should be added, or anything else you think would really better support your software purchasing decisions?
I know you guys were working on this last time. I can't remember now if it's implemented. Because I did another one of these, but obviously because if you can get companies to feel comfortable with putting pricing on, obviously that is an awesome tool to have just right there on TrustRadius. I think I've seen it on like a couple pages, but I know some will say like, oh, pricing's not available, but I understand that's a whole other business, problem.
Yeah, no, it is an area we're still heavily investing into, and where we can't get the actual price from the vendor, what we are starting to do is pull any of that content from reviews too. So if we see someone talking about, I saw a good ROI, or it's priced too high for me, they may not give you a number, but we are trying to leverage that. But yeah, definitely agree. We hear that from a lot of people, that understanding pricing up front is very important.
Yeah.
Any other things that come to mind?
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't know. I don't think I can think of anything else.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, no, I guess you guys already do that. No, I can't think of anything.
Okay, perfect. And then putting TrustRadius aside, are there any trends, either good or bad, that you see when making software purchases, seeing decisions, or things that vendors do that you like or don't like, or anything else related to that process?
I would say two things for me are, I hate it if, and I'm sure you get this from most people, I hate it if I can't trial the product first. I hate if I have to go through like a sales rep first in order to maybe see a demo or something like that. I would much rather just have like a 7-day free trial, even if I have to put my credit card in, like I need to sometimes just use the tool myself. And then the second would be, I just wish sometimes the vendors put even just a ballpark range of pricing. If you're not necessarily a company that has like a set of tiers, even just saying like, listen, these are the factors that are going to make the price go up. These are the factors that will make the price go down, but this is our range. And you can make of it what you will, which again helps, me disqualify or qualify them. And then I don't have to waste their time getting on a call only to have them say like, so it costs 30 grand like a month or something. And that to me is like total shell shock because I wasn't notified of that upfront.
Perfect. Yep. And you're not alone. We definitely hear that from a lot of people. So I think anything they can do to avoid salespeople and get self-serve seems to be a topic. And to that point, we are adding features interactive demos and other things to our site to try to satisfy that where we can. Of course, we still need the vendors to participate in that as well. But
Nice.
okay, yeah, that is really very helpful, and appreciate your time today and all of the feedback you've given us.
Yeah, not a problem. I always love doing these types of interviews.